co-director of the Partners in Conflict and Partners in Peace Building projects at the Center for International Development and Conflict Management at the University of Maryland. Sidi advised Abd al Qadir some years ago that he could have a bigger, deeper impact for the world through making peace in this country. Following Sidi's advice, our beloved Abd al Qadir, who has worked in over 40 countries on 6 continents now, focuses his effort to bring about transformative change by working locally. Abd al Qadir has found that peace is made with one heart at a time, one family at a time, and one community at a time. He's an expert in the area of conflict analysis and risk management. He's consulted with the U.S. Department of State, the U.S. Agency for International Development, the U.S. Department of Defense, and the White House initiated task force on political instability and genocide. His work to support democratic transition in Africa, in the Middle East, Asia, and Central Eastern Europe. He has trained thousands of professionals in conflict transformation, including political leaders and diplomats, UN peacekeepers, police, educators, religious, traditional and civil society leaders. Abd al Qadir's groundbreaking research on the impact of spiritual practices on consciousness and peace has been widely published. For me, Abd al Qadir demonstrates that the choice for peace is real, and with courage and commitment brings authentic transformation. Abd al Qadir's teaching tonight is the Fana process, annihilation in God. Abd al Qadir, welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight. And we are very happy that you're gonna be sharing your knowledge of music of the soul with us. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for a very generous and kind introduction and for hosting us tonight. And for making this whole series possible. It was a brilliant, brilliant inspiration. And thank you for everyone that is joining us tonight, for your presence, for your open hearts, and for your dedication to this way of love. So let's see. I'm not sure what combination of people that are familiar with the Islamic prayers, but let's start with the opener, the Fatiha. It's the prayer for opening our heart, opening the heart to the divine presence. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم.
Abd al Qadir, are you there? I think we have lost you.
Oh, my unmute button got pressed. Is that good?
Okay, now we can hear you. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Was I praying to myself just now?
Okay.
Okay. Well, I just was reciting the Fatiha, the opening for the opening of the heart to the Divine Presence, and just want to make a comment on the first line of the Fatiha, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It translates as in the name Allah. So we start any new undertaking, inshallah, willing, in His name. And the name means, at a deeper level, the light of Allah, the face of Allah, which we come into intimacy with Him, come into good relationship with Him. And Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim is how He introduces Himself to us each time. He reminds us that Ar-Rahman is the universally merciful. He constantly creates and sustains all that is, the whole universe. And Ar-Rahim, the intimately personal, compassionate for each of us, in other words. He holds each of us separately in the womb of His divine mercy. Rahim means womb. So Rahman and Rahim both derivative from that root word. And it's the womb of divine mercy, divine love, in which He sustains us. So the place to start in this journey, or in whichever journey of the heart, journey of the soul, that we may be by beginning in the name, placing ourselves aligned in the name, the light of God.
Beloved?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. There's some static on the line, so I'm not sure if it is your line. So if you could double check on that for us, please. And if anybody is not on mute, we ask you to mute your lines.
Is the volume okay, or is it just the static? Hello?
Double check.
Hello.
Yes.
Is the volume okay?
Yes, it's okay.
And the static? Or?
It's better.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
If it would be
beloved.
better to try my earphones, I can do that, if that will help.
That would help, yes, beloved.
Okay, let me try it.
Thank you.
How's that? Is that any better?
But so far, so good, yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you, alhamdulillah.
Okay. And so thank you for your introduction and for your work for peace in this country. And as you say, the choice for peace for each of us is real. That we tend to underrate our own impact on peace. Peace in the country. It seems to be too big for us to hold out. But this is selling myself short. Contain the whole universe. It's not just a single country. We contain the world, we contain the universe. And today the topic is on the Fana, annihilation in God. And when we pass through the Fana, then we are in the station of peace. It is the door. The Fana is the door into the reality of peace that can be lived permanently in our own lives and to have the greatest possible impact on our larger environment. This is the key to peace anywhere. We have to start from the inside, from the heart, from the soul of the people. And before we can help people open their hearts and souls, we have to open our own. So for each of us who longs for peace in this country, and we're seeing plenty of tension and division in the country. So I don't think that focus on peace is superfluous. It's not.
Beloved?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you again.
Sure, thank you for your care.
We're still hearing the static. Do you have any other device that's on? A computer or something?
I'll completely power off my phone in case that makes a difference.
You could try that and see if that works.
Okay, inshallah. You're perfectly clear to me, so I'm blind to the static.
Okay, so please forgive me if I interrupt you. So.
No, thank you. I appreciate your taking that responsibility.
Thank you.
Okay, so Fana is all about peace, finding the place of where separation, conflict, violence is just no longer possible, no longer real. And to be able to bring that light to the world to whatever degree. And I also want to just say, never think of Fana as someone in the distant future, somewhere, some distant place we might step into some enlightened reality that seems far away. This
Sweetheart,
is also,
you're breaking up. The phone is breaking up. So I'm wondering, there's other people at the IPC? Could you ask them to turn off their cell phones? That might be interfering with your signal?
Yeah, the meeting that was across the hallway is done. So
somebody asked,
cell phones are, sorry?
you'd like to master mute everybody. She did not master mute everybody.
Okay, I don't have access to mute everyone, but there are a few people who are not on mute. So please mute your phone so we can have
Okay.
Alima. Maybe Alima can mute everyone.
I'm going to try one more thing. I have a new pair of earphones. I'll try that. So it'll be 3 different speakers we've tried.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. I do have everyone master muted, and for some reason, there is a little bit of disruption in it looks like the internet or the video line, and I'm muting people as they come on. So it's just it's something on. Unfortunately, it looks like it's on Abd al Qadir Davies. It looks like it's on your line.
Huh. Are you able to follow me at all, or is it?
We are. It's just a little bit of static keeps it'll garble just a little bit here and there, but otherwise it's very clear.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just step into the next room and make sure that there's nothing else on. Just a second. Okay, we have the building complete. So inshallah that will clear it. Right. So one thing I'll say as we get into it, that I would invite anyone who has a question or something they'd like to share at any point in the class, if you could unmute yourself and just speak up. And I'll try to move through this paragraph by paragraph. And so there's a break. Room for questions. But I'm happy if this can be a discussion amongst brothers and sisters on each on their own path. Yes,
I'm
Halima.
wondering if is it possible, beloved, to maybe hang up and dial in one more time? Would that be okay? Inshallah.
Sure, let me try that.
Thank you.
But it's actually also possible that the internet is not really good at IPC. Sorry, I don't know if I'm muted. But see how there's no static anymore. So he could potentially call in either from another device or call in from the landline.
Okay, I'm back. Is that any better?
It is very clear now. So.
Alhamdulillah. Well, let's hope that lasts. All right.
So, Abd al Qadir, if it starts to break up again, you can just call in on a landline, which would help.
Sure.
Yes?
I can try that
Okay.
too. Yes, so let me know.
You sound good. It sounds good now.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so begin with the chapter on Al-Fana, the annihilation in God. And again, notice the word in here, annihilation in God. It's not that we annihilate ourselves and we are nothing, but that we annihilate what separates us from God. We annihilate our pictures of who we are in separation, and so that we can come to know God, which is the goal of our journey in this life, to come to know God. And in coming to know God, we come to know ourselves. The two go together. If we want to know ourselves at the core of who we are, then it requires that we come to know God. And so this, when we finally come to know God, the only way to know God is to become one with Him and to annihilate that which separates us from Him. Okay, and so we'll talk more about that to be able to, inshallah, make that a little clearer and a little bit more accessible. Because as I was starting to say earlier, Fana is not something for the distant future. It's for each moment that we choose to surrender into the divine presence. We go through many Fanas in this life. Each time we move from one station to the next, and there are many stations, we go through a Fana. Some stations are more major, some are more short term, but even coming from one state to another, when we turn to Allah and allow ourselves to annihilate into His presence, that's a Fana that takes us into a deeper, bigger state. And so Fana is something that we look for and choose as we choose peace every day, and more than every day. Right? So Sidi begins, And this is on page 75 of Music of the Soul. He says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now I feel in my heart the seventh station of the soul. This is a very holy station, the seventh being the final station of the soul. When we are completing the journey in the world of the soul and opening the door, moving through the threshold into the world of Allah, the world of unity. And this is the seventh station within the world of the soul. And so we begin in the world of the nafs, or the ego, the outward-oriented ego, and we move, where in that world we identify with the physical, our own physical body, separate, distinct from others, and with the physical world as the reality in which we live. And in that condition where we are by definition separate from others, then our greatest need is for safety and security. And so for that we are preoccupied primarily with our appetites for power over our surroundings, other people, power over things. We need to collect stuff to be safe. We need to collect belongings, cars, houses, money, all of that, and in order to have control. And so this is called the commanding nafs, nafs al-amara. And so the second world, the world of the heart, or qalb, lawama, we annihilate our sense of who we are in the material world as we begin to discover the deeper reality of the world of the heart. And this is most clearly experienced as we start to experience real love with other people, other creatures, other aspects of all that is. And that opening, when the heart begins to experience real love, then we experience ourselves as much bigger than the body. The field of the heart, the spiritual heart, extends much beyond the body. And it's through that field of the heart that we connect with other hearts in ways that allow us truly to come into harmony, into synchrony, to be sharing the same experience with each other. And the research across different spiritual traditions shows that when there's that love connection between people, then what tends to happen is that the two hearts start to beat together at the same time as people tend to be reporting the same experience as each other. That in other words, the separation between us melts and we become one. So it's the first step into greater unity is through the love, through the spiritual heart. And so not only do we find that we get a greater level of unity between people, but within ourselves, the heart, the breath, the brain become more integrated, more coherent, more connected, so that there's an inner integrity, an inner unity in us as well that begins to emerge. There's further to go with it, but there's a clear difference when we have those experiences of love. And so the third world, and plus, let me say, the world of the heart is, whereas the world of the nafs is very structured, slow-moving, relatively, the world of the heart, sometimes called the angelic world, is a fast-moving world. It's a world of flow rather than static structure or slow-moving structure. Our bodies grow very slowly. We walk, not very quickly. But in the world of the heart, it's like nothing ever is inactive. It's that everything is flowing and moving. And it's like the world of light, which never stops. Light is always moving high speed. And so this opens up a much bigger reality where we connect with each other through the heart. And that opens much greater possibilities. We have a much bigger appreciation of who we are. And then that expands further when we start to realize that the love we feel is at core one love. That the beauty that we see in each person that touches our heart, in each aspect of creation that touches our heart, that we're actually loving the essence of that person. And once we realize we're catching that deep reality of the person, we start to realize that who we're loving really is the one God, Allah. Okay? That all souls are faces or facets of one soul. That all the fields of the hearts and the souls are actually expressions of one field. Okay? Which underlies and sustains the whole universe, all it is. And then the fourth world is when we come from the intimacy of the soul in that nearness to Allah, where we're feeling that nearness to Him. Then that is drawing us more and more strongly into Him. Then the fourth world is the world of the unity, where we make that Fana, when we annihilate everything that separates us from the one. Okay, so we'll just give that as another little piece of introduction, and then move into Siddhi's writing. Siddhi says, "Now I feel in my heart the seventh station of the soul. This is a very holy station. If you don't open your heart, and if you don't open the eyes of your soul, you cannot understand what Allah wants in this station." So opening your heart and opening the eyes of your soul is, this is what He's looking for, or asks us to look for in our own journey, in order to be able to come into the Fana. Now we can experience that in the transition between states, in dropping deeper into unity in the moment, even before we're ready to be able to sustain it enough to be able to stabilize that station of unity. Okay, and so opening the eyes of your heart, the eyes of your soul, another way of expressing that is that you're opening the eye of Allah. In other words, how does Allah see me? You remember you may remember the hadith of Jibreel, where he has a conversation with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the religion of God. And one of the aspects that he talks about is ihsan, or the excellence of faith. And this is the relationship to Allah that opens as we move in the soul stations, in intimacy, in proximity to the divine essence. And in that, Jibreel asks Muhammad, what is it? And he said, it's to worship Allah as if you see Him. And if you don't see Him, knowing that He sees you. Okay, and Siddhi points out that it's actually the second part of this that is the deeper station. Knowing that he sees you is the reality of the station of unity that we come into from the world of the soul. And whereas worshipping Allah as if you see him, this is describes the experience of the light of Allah, that proximity with Allah, the face of Allah, the song of Allah, that we know him through, and which brings us to the deep love of the soul. And that deep love then transitions through the Fana into oneness, which is the goal or the completion of love. And ultimately the unity which is never lost. Okay. So the clue here is that open the eyes of your soul, open the eye of your heart. This is the eye of Allah. So if you want to know what that means, open yourself to imagine, to allow Allah to show you what you look like to him. Because when we're approaching Allah, Allah approaches us. It's never one-sided. If we're sincere, if we're really opening our heart to him, he's doing the same back to us, and with greater intensity, greater energy, to make it easy for us to complete that Fana, that annihilation into him. So if you recognize that when you're praying to him, he is the speaker of the prayer, not just the listener. He's both. Okay? He's listening to us. The ear of our heart or ear of our soul is his ear. Okay? When we're listening to him, it's his ear through which we listen. When we speak in that place of surrender and that place of annihilation, it's his voice that comes through us. Because what the inspiration that comes to us in that, there's no separation between us and him. Our field is aligned and resonating with his infinite field. And so that he is the core of who we are, okay, in that station. All right. So Siddhi continues, be polite, but now more polite, because he wants to speak with your soul. Now polite here, again, on the deeper level, soul and secret, is to be sincere, to be completely open from your heart, from your soul, in facing him. And this is a place of love. So the real inner meaning of polite in the way that it's used in this way is to be in the love, be speaking and listening from a place of love, to be able to hear the truth of what's being said, to be able to find the truth that you can speak back. Okay? So don't separate yourself from God. This is one of the biggest veils, that we imagine that God and us are separate. This is the most fundamental veil that holds us back from completing our journey. Okay, we have to annihilate that particular veil, that particular belief that God and I are not one. And as we come into the unity, we start to notice that we can hear God's voice through our own. We can know with certainty how he sees us. Okay, And because we're witnessing him, witnessing us, no separation. Okay. He wants to give you the key to open the door of your soul so that you can find the holy meaning in everything. Listen to what he says. This is a holy song, a holy meaning, and a holy prayer. Listen to the song of David, Dawood, the servant of the soul. If you understand what he says, you can drink with your soul from the holy meaning. If you remember the Psalms, Zabur, there's such beauty that expresses the intimacy of the soul with Allah in these stations of the soul. If you understand what he says, you can drink with your soul from the holy meaning. So again, the light of Allah is not just light. It's music. It's the nectar that we taste. It's the fragrance that we smell. It's the feeling that we touch. It's all of the senses and more. It's the knowing, the direct knowing of his presence through witnessing. Okay. So drink with your soul from the holy meaning. And here, the meaning, the knowledge that we have here is not just the knowledge of the mind, but the deeper knowledge of the heart and the soul that we have through that resonance of our heart, our soul with his. This is field dynamics. We live in a sea of fields. We should be getting used to the idea of communicating through fields. Whenever we pick up a cell phone, whenever we sit in front of a computer that's linked to a network, it's through fields, resonating together, communicating with each other, that we lead our lives. The same thing is true at a deeper level, through the network of hearts and souls. In order to drink, you must sit with him, sit with Allah. What does he want when you are sitting with him? He wants you to sit quietly and to understand the notes of every song and to see their beauty. He's given you this song in order for you to hear his melody and for you to sing the song of the truth. You've found the secret and the holy garden. Now you walk around in the holy garden with the light everywhere, and you give your light to everyone. And there's no one, only the one, your beloved. You have found the holy light. It's there for all to see at any time or in any place, because he has put his love everywhere, and there's no place, only he. Okay, so the holy garden here is the world of Allah. Well, there's also the garden of the soul that we walk through as we come into the unity. But he wants you to be quiet. Another secret of coming into the Fana is to keep dropping deeper into your heart and into your soul. And as you do that, you're coming more and more into that intimate space of intimacy with Allah, the nearness to Allah. And so in that case, it's against the politeness to be speaking loudly with him. Feel his closeness, feel his presence, and be very quiet as you speak into that presence, and very still as you listen and feel and taste his presence. Next, any questions from there? That's the end of the first full paragraph. Any questions, any reflections, any clarification needed? Okay.
So, beloved, this is Jamila.
Assalamu alaikum, beloved.
Alaikum salam. So, what you're describing is really exquisite, and I wondered if you could give it a relative explanation, like an example of how it shows up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just, ground it more in our day-to-day. So there's like a, oh, right, I get that.
Yeah.
Kind of feeling.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, the example that comes to my mind most readily is where you might be just looking at the world around you, and maybe at people's faces, or at a garden or trees or something of beauty, and you start to notice the light of that person, the light of the tree. It begins to, as if, sparkle. It begins to come not just alight but alive. And it's as if it responds, it knows you back. It feels your presence, or they feel your presence, and as you feel theirs. And that's a form of love. And that's one way in which he experienced the Fana into that bigger, deeper world of the love. Okay? And then there are, of course, deeper layers of the love as we walk more deeply. But for every day, that's a good touchstone. Look and see if you're seeing a living world, a living planet, a living tree or animal or flower that can respond to you. So not only can you see the light in them, they begin to see you as well. They begin to recognize that you know them, you recognize them, you're connecting with them, and they respond to you. Okay, so this is how the world comes alive through this process. And can be just a knowing. Another example, not seeing anything. Don't get caught in the idea it has to be through light that I see with my regular eyes. It can be that, but it's not necessarily that. But just knowing with certainty that Allah is present, for example, or knowing with certainty that this person is deeply connected with you or loves you back. Okay, those experiences are real markers for me, and so there might be something you can relate to. Okay, does that help?
Yes. Yes, well, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So next paragraph. This is the reason why He, Allah, puts the love in every face. He puts it there for you to be holy and to reflect His light. Okay, so there's a love and light are two different perspectives on the same thing. That divine light is love, is mercy, is music, okay, is knowledge. He puts it there for you to be holy and to reflect His light. Because when you see love, love is evoked in your heart. It's natural for the heart to respond to love with love. And so in that way, we reflect the light back to Allah through the person that in whose light He placed love, in whose face He placed love and light. So be polite with everyone. In other words, be open-hearted with everyone. With everyone when you reach the station, because He wants you to reach the meaning of this heaven. And again, when He talks about the station, He's talking, this particular chapter is taken from a section of the Music of the Soul where He's talking about the stations. So He uses the word station, but the way in which we move from one station to the next is through states. And each of those states has its own Fana. So look for that Fana each time you feel the opportunity, you feel the beauty, you feel the light, the love, the mercy. Then let yourself annihilate into that and to recognize your beloved Lord in this person. And be grateful for the person who showed that light to you. This doesn't negate their beauty or what they bring. It's in fact lifting them and lifting your capacity to appreciate who they are. He wants you to reach the meaning of this heaven. There is no one who can touch this heaven, only you, because you are the student who wants to know the truth of Allah. In other words, don't leave it for someone else to make this journey. Allah speaks to each of us directly and longs for intimate relationship with each of us. He wants us to know Him. The reason He made the universe is for us to know Him. Why did He want that? Because He means knowing in the deepest sense, which is to really love Him, to know Him through the heart and soul, which is to love Him, and to ultimately annihilate it in Him. When we're loving someone, we're annihilating in them, okay, into the unity between us. There is no one who can touch this heaven, only you, because you are the student who wants to know the truth of Allah. And that desire that you feel, know that Allah doesn't mess with you, doesn't play games with you. If He creates a life for you where that longing is real and sincere, then He's not doing it as a tease. He's doing it to assure you that this is the path that is for you, that He's calling you in particular, and that you can't wait for others to do it or to do the walking for you. It's for you only. He wants you to take the holy key and so find all the jewels inside. There's nothing like these jewels anywhere. They're precious and holy. You can find the secret inside the jewel if you want to. Before, you didn't know, but now He's giving you all the meaning, and you begin to understand and to know everything. Okay, so again, no, it's like some people talk about, when they're talking about passages in the Bible, for example, or Torah or New Testament, but mainly Torah, I think the word knowing is used. And the biblical sense of knowing usually is used in the context of a husband coming to, or a spouse coming to know a spouse. And you know it's love that they're talking about. Okay, so knowledge, to know God is to love Him. To know truly anyone is to love them. Okay. And so here he talks about the key. The key is the annihilation, the surrender into the one, surrender into the love. And the jewel that you're surrendering into is the divine presence. Okay? And so through the divine presence, that place of proximity, we come to know the essence of Allah, the secret. Okay, the secret meaning that which is not manifest, that which we have to find by being it. Any questions on that paragraph? So coming to this place is where your heart is resonating with the heart of Allah, the universal heart, which on that level is not different from the universal soul. Okay, so Siddhi says, if you don't love all things and know the meaning of this special love in the religion of God, you don't understand any of His truth. Before you didn't drink the wine of the special way of Allah. Now you're intoxicated by the wine. But this is the intoxication of love. This is a quality you've lived in from the beginning, before Allah created anything. And now you find Him in everything, in every face and everywhere. There's nothing like Him. He is in all the creation. In this station, you know this truth. You can walk and you can fly with the light, with the Holy Self, and with the love. You can find all the knowledge of Allah if you open the secret of the love, to know the complete human being, the perfect man or perfect human being, al-insan al-kamil. He is the complete light and the eye of Allah. Continue to change everything, to clean your soul and to know. This is a deep and long station. You need to leave everything behind to reach the heart of the soul. This heart is the holy house of Allah. Okay. So again, he brings together the light and the eye. There's no difference between seer and seen in this place of unity. Okay. And again, to leave everything behind to reach the heart of the soul. Each time you pray, choose to surrender, choose to annihilate everything into the divine presence. And do this through your heart. Don't try to do it from the nats, through your head. Who you are is only superficially what the stream of thoughts might be in your head. When we drop deeper into the heart, then we start to understand truly who we are. And pay attention to our capacity, our developing capacity to know reality through the heart. And then ultimately through the soul, and in Allah through the secret. Okay. So what happens here is it's not just a private thing. That as this Fana becomes more and more routine for you, then it lights up everyone and everything in the world. And that is a gift for them as well as for you. That allows them to feel the peace that you feel. Okay? To feel the light and the love that you feel. To reach, now you need to drink all the holy oil from the tree of the truth, because it is necessary. You need to be like the oil lamp and to shine your light for all the world. It's because you carry the holy message of the truth. This holy oil is from the olive tree, a symbol of holiness, of peace, and of the light of God. It's the same tree from which all the prophets, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon them, have come. It carries the qualities of the prophets, giving shade to everyone in the garden. It's the tree of the truth, and he who knows this tree knows the truth. This tree gives beautiful flowers, each with a holy fragrance. But from the wisdom, not every flower makes the oil. Allow once every student in this station to be the holy oil from this tree, and to know and to change and to see him in everything. So it's these shifting metaphors here from being in the intoxication of the wine, from drinking from the light of Allah, into now he's using the metaphor of the olive tree and the oil that comes from that tree as the oil of the love. And so he wants us to drink from that so that we can become that light and make that light more accessible to others around us. So when we're talking about carrying the holy message of the truth, it's not just through what we say. It doesn't mean preaching. It means carrying the love in whatever way is natural, according to the gifts that he has. Whatever way allows our heart to expand, our light to shine, our love to resonate. Okay? And if you notice someone across the room when you walk down the street or you're shopping somewhere, you notice them staring at you, pleasantly, then again, this is a reminder that what you think is private is not private. And so allow that light to shine. You receive God's mercy, receive God's love and God's joy in the opening of your heart, and let it come through you. Let yourself be one that shares that light with others through drinking the oil of his love. Sometimes Siddhi changes the metaphor a little bit and talks about, urges us to plant your tree in the earth of Allah's love. And so you begin to see the image of the roots of the olive tree. And the roots is where the real intelligence of the plant, the tree, is most concentrated as it seeks out the sources of nourishment in the soil, and then converts this into nutrition for the whole tree. So the rising sap in the tree is also a form of what he's calling the oil here, because it's ultimately expressed in the oil within the fruit of the olive. Okay. And these images are all keys that he's giving us to be able to help us in our remembrance. So remembering these metaphors, these allow you to come into the world of intimacy of Allah and to be able to find him more readily through these images. So the tree of the love is also the tree of the truth, the tree of knowledge. Okay? All of these are one tree of life. And so again, the underlying unity includes and reconciles all of the differences in creation. And also the difference between creation and what is beyond creation. The difference between existence and non-existence, between life and death. All of these are reconciled in a reality, one reality without boundaries, in time or space. Okay. Any questions on that paragraph or on anything so far? So in working or praying for peace, we don't push from the nafs. Rather, we follow the delight of the heart in the way that from that intimacy with the divine, We carry his light, we carry his love. So is that a question? Someone want to speak? Okay. Siddhi continues, there are no sides to this tree, no east, no west. Again, the opposites are reconciled in the unity. In fact, this reconciliation of opposites, realizing how opposites complement each other, that we don't understand what peace is, for example, until we've experienced real conflict and real enmity. And so this whole creation is a world of contrasts, that manifestation becomes possible through separating oneness into diversity. And for that, you need duality, you need opposites. And that's what allows us to experience these different qualities that seem to contradict each other. And what happens in the path of the love is that we start to see how these qualities support each other. We see that conflict, for example, is an opening, an opportunity where people are focused, energized, because they see something that needs to change. And change becomes possible. Constructive change becomes much more possible. So peacemaking is about seeing these possibilities and helping other people see them, to use conflict in order to bring about peace at a deeper level that is more sustainable, that is more beneficial to everyone. Okay. There are no sides to this tree, no east and no west, yet all sides are within this tree. There's no picture for this tree. It's from pre-eternity, Al-Azal. Allah has put this tree in the eye of everyone. The eye of everyone, it clearly again means the eye of Allah, which we have access to through the surrender of the heart, the Fana of the soul into Allah. And therefore you can see with your eyes what you want. Sometimes it lives within, and sometimes it lives without. Yet there is no inside and no outside. This is the holy secret, because the tree is pure. It's the unity. It is as-Samad. It's al-Ahad. It's al-Wahid. Allah lives in everyone, and He puts His qualities in everything, and all His qualities are unified. In other words, reconciled in Him, in His unity. So that we can, when we access that level, or as we come close to that level, by degrees we come to see how they complement each other. And that gives us much more freedom, and freedom from fear. If we are pushed, if we let ourselves be pulled into fear when things look chaotic or dangerous around us, then we're losing the connection with Allah, and that's not what we want to do. The real protection here, the real safety, is in the connection with the One. Okay. So it's like we can't see the light unless there's the contrast with the shade. Okay, so the shade supports the light. So it's through opposites that we are able to increase knowledge until we come to the unity as the fulfillment of life. You couldn't climb this tree before because you didn't speak or understand the language of the soul, which is the language of the deep love and the mercy. This tree is the holy bride. Its qualities are enough for you to know what the message is, and to know what you need to give so that you can live inside. There is no one who lives without this bride, and Allah is the mirror for the bride, who is you. and he is the heart of the bride. Now you can climb the tree if you want, to reach its holiest place. This is the summit of the devotion of Layla, the divine essence of the love. If you smell the fragrance of your soul, then you are touching the key to open the house of your soul. Then you can change everything that came inside it from the beginning of your life in this world. You can see everything with a new eye, but this eye is the eye of God. After that, you don't see anything, only Him. There's nothing else to see. Okay, so seeing only God, only Allah, is not a constriction, it's a massive expansion, because in Him is everything. Okay. So the bride is the soul, is this deep place, deeper than the heart, which is when we recognize that our true beloved is Allah, is the one. And so that intimacy grows until we surrender to Allah as a bride surrenders in love to her holy spouse on a wedding night. So all of the senses are active in finding this light and love of the deep mercy of Allah. So you find it through the fragrance of your soul, the light of your soul, the music of your soul, the feeling of your soul. And then everything changes. And Fana is a time of, a point of profound change as we move from diversity to unity. Any questions so far? Okay.
Beloved, if you have any questions, please unmute your phone or video or audio so Abd al Qadir could hear you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
This is Amina.
Hi, Amina.
So can you use this practice as you're connecting to Allah to connect to other people's souls, those known and unknown, for healing? So I mean, I know as in school we connect our soul and we do healings, but I'm asking, like, can you connect to family members or perhaps even a soulmate, a beloved that you don't yet know?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah. So again, the secret of the Fana, why the Fana is so important, is that the first priority, the first step of this practice is always to turn to Allah and surrender into Him. Okay? Go for the highest first. Once you have that unity, then the guidance flows much more, with much more clarity and much more freedom. And so from there, then you can witness all of the divine qualities much more readily. And you can witness the soul, you can witness the heart in the image of the other person, in their face, in their heart, in their body. Okay? And we'll all witness in different ways. Some of us hear something, some of us see something, some feel, some know, some feel it in our own bodies. And our own bodies map themselves onto the body of the other so we can feel what is going on in their body through our own, if our heart or soul is completely open in the unity. Because then the fields align, and it's possible. The field of the heart is a, what do you call it? What's it called? I'm missing the name now, but it's the sort of field, it's the fields that are shaped like apples that come out like around magnets. The heart field is like that. And those fields are the holographic fields they are. And in a holographic field, all the knowledge that is in that field is accessible at every point. So if your field touches theirs, then there's a resonance that allows you to be able to connect with them, to see the light in them, to see the beauty in them, and to see where they are in their walking, where they might be struggling, where they might be blocked in some way. And this is part of their beauty because they are walking, they're moving, and you can see their yearning for a particular quality, for example, that's not coming into their life, yearning for love, learning for kindness, learning for gentleness, learning for wisdom. Okay, all of these can be aspects that are guiding a beloved to Allah at any time. And so as the soul opens, we begin to be able to feel the qualities, not only that they have in themselves, but the ones that they are being guided by. And so you start to appreciate more and more, your heart opens to them because you can see what's going on, even though they're hurting. And so you don't judge them, but you give them the insight on how to love them, how to heal them, how to hold them. Okay? So it's something to ask for. Ask, it's not for the soul to make effort. It's for the soul to be clear, sincere in our intention, and to turn to Allah to ask His eye to open for us, His knowing to open for us. He is the seer, He is the listener, He is the one who gives and receives the tajallis. Okay? So always ask Him first. Even when you're in the unity, there's still, from politeness, the asking, because you wouldn't be in the unity without His invitation, right? And even though you're one, He still gives you the freedom to make your own choices and to continue your own journey within the unity. So the Fana is not the end of the journey, but it's a profound station in the journey where it completes the ascending path to God and opens us to the path within, the path in God, okay? And then ultimately to the descending path where we, the central focus becomes on bringing the light back into the world, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. A beautiful question, thank you. Okay, so Siddhi says, what do things and numbers mean in this station? There are no numbers. There are no women, no men, no angels, no shaitans. Everything is from Him, and you return to Him, Allah. He's made everything as a reflection, but these things in themselves are not the truth. When you see with the eye of your soul, you know this. You see what you are and what He is. Your place is from His face, yet there is no place, only He. You see with this eye the picture of Allah in everything. You know who speaks with you in your life from the beginning to the end. You know who lives with you all the time, and you know who gives you what you want. There is no one, only He exists. So this is the ultimate reality that he's talking about here. We already exist in Allah, and He exists in us, and there is no out and there is no in. And it's just that we're veiled from that reality. So walking through the states and the stations of the journey of the love, the journey to Allah, the journey of our life, is already within Allah. Okay, but as we start to pierce these veils, start to annihilate these more limited concepts we have of ourselves, these more limited identities, then the veils start to drop away. The beliefs that we've built up to try to make sense of where we find ourselves in a world of veils are useful for a time, but they're only constructs to be able to help us through a certain part of our journey. So it's important to be ready to let those go as soon as we start to see a new, bigger reality opening up to us. And so this path, this teaching, is to show you the way, to show you the states and stations that you walk through, and the keys for that walking, how to surrender into the next state, into the next station, into the next connection of love with another person, so that you become able to fully reflect the qualities of Allah and live them. Okay, any questions from that one? Okay. You've seen many pictures in this world, but they're not the truth. They're all reflections. Allah puts His name in everything. Bismillah. Discharge everything and return every quality to Allah. Then you'll understand what He wants from you. He wants you to know Him, to know only the truth. There's nothing after that. There's no after and no before, no up and no down, because you have found yourself. Okay, so this is the experience of surrendering, the experience of Fana into His presence. Discharge everything else and return every quality to Him. In other words, recognize that it's not for you from the ego to take credit for His gifts to you, but there's gratitude rather than pride for what you have. And this is the politeness in the world of the unity, to, even though we have the unity with Him, we don't share credit for that. We give it all to Him. Like the second line of the Fatiha says that all gratitude, all praise belongs to Allah alone. Okay, Alhamdulillahi. All praise belongs to Him. And so we don't reserve any for ourselves. Okay? So this is another reconciliation of opposites, that He's the guide and we are the guided. He's the Lord, we're the slave. But there's no difference between us. And the slave is completely free in a way that wasn't ever possible before. Okay, this is the reconciliation in the unity as love is fulfilled. This is the truth, my son and my daughter. Write, but write with the hand of Allah. Change everything so that you listen only with the hearing of Allah. Then change everything in your life to be so. This is a holy station. In this station, He sends you the message and the religion. Okay. So, writing with the hand of Allah, another way in which we connect with His light, to allow Him to move us, to allow Him to move our hand and our heart to be able to express ourselves in writing. It says, my beloved Jamila is teaches the spiritual writing from the heart, and surrendering into Allah's guidance for the hand to write out the voice of the heart and the soul, so we can hear ourselves more clearly and start to hear the voice of God through our own voice. He says that that you change everything so that you listen only with the hearing of Allah. In other words, surrender into the unity, then change everything in your life to be soul. So here, the question earlier about how do we come to be able to see, witness what's going on in the heart of another person. So go first into the unity, and then from there you can witness the soul. That's when the gnosis opens for you much more strongly than before. So Sri writes, he gave all the prophets the secret. May his peace and blessings be upon them. And this is what he wants to give to everyone. If you search, you'll find the unity. You want only him, and you're his picture. I could not give every secret that is inside my heart. Allah. So, that we don't regard the prophets as on some distant planet, that what Allah gave them, he gives us. And he wants that for us. He gave us the prophets for examples to make our journey easier than it was for them. And so you are his picture. You are an expression from his heart, an expression of his love, expression of his beauty. He made you in that mold. So in order for you to be able to know him and find him, love him, and know yourself through that process. And then he says, I couldn't give every secret that is inside my heart. Allah, there's so much here. And this is packed into 3 pages. He's talking about such a huge reality that he's apologizing for not being able to say more completely what's in his heart. This is the holy station of annihilation in God, Fana. Now you take the key, and with it you can open the door to the garden of Allah. This is a dangerous station, and if you're not polite, he'll discharge you. Ask him to help you and be polite. Don't give this station to anyone who lives outside, because they couldn't understand this. What can they know about this? Keep the jewels which I've given you, and don't lose them. Give only the picture of God. This is enough now. Okay, so a dangerous station here, the most beautiful station of all, is also a dangerous station. Contrast even here. And that we have to be careful, for example, that we don't lose the new insights, the new perspective that had come to us. When it comes as a state, yes, we lose it, but then we have been shown something that is imprinted in us forever. And so it's easier to find our way back. Each time, it's a little quicker to get back to the same state again until it becomes permanent. This is the experience of many. So there's the danger is that you'll go back into, for example, letting the nafs take credit for what you've achieved. To start to think, to put yourself above other people, instead of in the love with them. Okay. And so it's because it's such a profound shift, we can feel elevated. And if we misinterpret that, then it means we have to step back out of that unity again in order to clean that place in our heart where we get caught in self-importance or ego, until we can again step in with the complete purity and innocence of heart, to be able to live that unity. So again, taking the key means the surrender, the annihilation, and opening the door to the garden of Allah to find the jewels being the divine presence. And jewels plural, because we find the divine presence here and here and here in every face ultimately. Even though really there's only one jewel. Give only the picture of God is what he says to end. That this is what, if we speak from love always, speak from mercy, speak from truth, speak from kindness, all of the divine qualities together, then we are always in the polite. And so that's when the station stabilizes. Okay. All right, so let's take a little bit of time, if we can, we lost a bit of time with the trouble with the microphone. Maybe we can take a few extra minutes just to take a chance to taste a little bit of what we've been talking about. Yeah, Allah, CD puts at the bottom of the page here, the end of the chapter, Allah, Allah, Allah. So he invites us into remembrance through the name. And he also writes, only he, only he, only he. And this is the deeper name that is used for the soul. When the soul is moving into the Fana, then the Arabic is Lahu Illahu. Means there's no one, only he. So we're surrendering into the unity. And this is a way of naming or calling, addressing Allah, that is unique to this place of intimacy, the threshold of unity. Okay, so let's take a little bit of time in remembrance. Find yourself a position where you can have the back relatively straight, your head erect. It allows the energy to rise more easily through your body into your heart. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah. Just taking a moment to feel the divine presence, to make your intention to open completely, open your heart completely to Allah. Letting the love of Allah rise from the earth, through the roots into the tree, rising through your body, nurturing your body, your belly, your solar plexus. your heart, and letting the light of love blossom there. To open with gratitude to the beauty of the love of Allah. 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 He asks us to carry us in His heart through the name, to carry His light and love in our heart. And He carries us in His heart in the same moment. Allah. 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 Letting the light open, expand, fill your chest, your whole body. Feel the light as the breath of Allah, as He breathes from His soul into your soul, breathing for you, effortless. As if suspended in His breath. In His love. Feeling His presence. His breath close to you. Allahu illahu. Allahu illahu. Allahu illahu. Allahu illahu. Let yourself surrender, annihilate, break your tune. Into the timeless presence of Allah. Knowing He sees you. giving him everything, no conditions, allowing him to give everything to you from his love. Asking him to increase you in knowledge of him. Knowledge of the soul and the secret. Is paying loving attention to what is. Letting it unfold to reveal itself. Drinking the oil of his love. And dropping deeper. Each time a thought comes, you get distracted. That's the opening for deeper connection. One reality, one soul, one secret. Find the place of gratitude for what you've been given. Allow time for the gift to reveal itself. Maybe in the moment, maybe tonight. Be conscious of the continuing connection. Holding near. Yeah. Okay, so take a minute or two, let your breath deepen again. And your eyes to open as they're ready. Yeah. Notice the liveliness of the connection between the hearts, the people in the group. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. So any final questions or something you would like to share before we finish? Alhamdulillah, I guess we're deep in silence.
Thank you so much, Abd al Qadir. That was very profound.
Alhamdulillah, thank you. Inshallah.
Thank you so much, beloved, for this wonderful teaching, the blessings you brought to this teaching, and for such a gift for being with us tonight. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abd al Qadir.
Welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Alaikum salam.
Thank you, beloved. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Alaikum salam. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Walaikum salam. Right.
Assalamu alaikum, beloved.
Walaikum salam. And thanks everyone for your patience in staying a little longer.
Assalamu alaikum. Good night.
Good night.
Sabrina, Herminia, thank you for this wonderful teaching.
Thank you for your hosting.
Thank you so much for everything you shared.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Abd al Qadir. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Walaikum salam. Okay.